See, when you know God's character and when you know his nature, you know that he's incapable of lying. I tell people this all the time. God is incapable of lying, even if he wanted to, even if he wanted to come out of his mouth. Too much is riding on God being the truth. His entire identity, his entire being, the entire existence of the entire universe, mankind, everything that God has ever created is literally all hinging on the fact that he is the truth. He is the truth. Now you're like, Michelle, how is everything hinging on the fact that God is the truth? I will tell you. What does it say? In the beginning, God spoke the world into existence. Understand, if he spoke the world into existence, man, let me back it up real quick. Have you ever had somebody lie to you? Have you ever had somebody paint a picture to you of whether they cared about you or whether this was a decision that you needed to make, etc., and then you found out that they were lying? What happened? Everything in life unraveled. Man, it's time for me to get off this. Everything in life unraveled because you are now exposed to that lie. So now the entire reality and the entire perception that you had, it was all standing on the belief that what this person said to you was the truth. And the moment that you found out it was a lie, it literally poisoned the line of everything, and the entire thing crumbled and it unraveled. That is what I mean to when I say that God is incapable of lying. Because if he spoke everything into existence, that means he has to always be attached to the truth. Because if he detaches himself from truth, he is truth. Guess what ends up happening? Everything that was ever created must unravel. Because the moment he lies, it poisons everything. Do you understand how secure I feel knowing that I serve a God and I'm surrendered to a God that is incapable of lying? And once you know his character and once you know his nature, get to know his love. Get to know how he feels about you. Get to know how he cares about you. Now, I do understand that we can go through certain things in life that can try to convince us that God doesn't love us. I have so many episodes where I address this, different things, whether it be self-worth, whether it be just our emotional health, our mental health, whatever it is. I have so many episodes where I address these things because I understand that we have to unravel these different lies that have deeply rooted themselves into our minds and our systems, and they're dictating the way that we're showing up in life, and the way that we're showing up in our behavior is causing us to create a reality that we don't even desire, that we don't even want. So if you are sitting here in your life and you are rejecting what you're seeing, you're rejecting what you're experiencing, you don't desire it, instead of looking at what's going on in the reflection, let's start working on you. Because life is simply a mirror of what's happening inside of you. So let's really focus our energy on you. Let's really focus where you are at, because the moment you get to a place where you can receive, and the moment you get to a place where you can trust, and the moment you get to a place where you can surrender, guess what? You will be sitting in a completely different life from the one that you're sitting in right now. And I know what you desire more than anything is to sit in a life that feels right, that looks right, that it embodies you, it hugs you in a way that you truly appreciate. But you don't get to that place by fighting against and leaning into scarcity and leaning into doubt and leaning into distrust and leaning into these ideas that you may not be good enough and who's going to show up and I have to do this alone. You don't get to that place leaning into those types of mindsets. So you get into that place leaning into faith, leaning into belief, leaning into healing, leaning into transformation, leaning into gratitude, and leaning into knowing that your Father loves you. And that's not a lie. And because he loves you, he is so ever present, and he is the source to everything that you need. So you have to learn to snap out of it. Snap out of just the limitations of just looking at your basic senses of what you can see, what you can feel, what you can touch, what you can hear. Just getting out of those basic senses and get beyond that. Get beyond that. The scripture talks about how the Spirit of God hovered over chaos. So here it is. The world is there. Chaos is existing. And the Spirit of God was hovering above it. See, we are all living in different versions of chaos, and we could just be so consumed of what chaos has spoken to us and the things that chaos has gotten us to believe. But the Spirit of God hovers above it. So guess what you need to be? You need to be like Christ, and you need to learn to hover above it. Hover above what you see. Hover above what you hear. Hover above what you're thinking. Hover above just the reality, the way that you know it. Hover above it until you see things the way God sees it.